Welcome to Get Offset. My name is Emily, and today I'm going to talk about EPKs. EPK stands for Electronic Press Kit, and it's a pretty essential piece that you need when it comes to promoting your music, your album, your single, your EP. You need an EPK for your EP. This is just the facts. This is just the facts. But first, let's start with a history lesson. Who doesn't love those? It's weird to call this a history lesson. It bums me out because when I interned at the Beggars Group, Matador Records and the Beggars Group, in 2009, this is something I did. It was like I worked and I helped build physical press kits. I created physical press kits for bands at Beggars Group with the assistance of, I was the assistant, under the watchful eye, I should say, of their official PR department. As the name might imply, a press kit is traditionally for press publications. It's something that your publicist would send out to magazines, to radio stations, to other news outlets, to journalists, to anybody who writes about music or covers music. These folks would get press kits in the mail. They get a big manila envelope. It would have a whole litany of things. Probably most importantly, it would have your bio, your biography. It'd have a press version of your music. That would be like a CD that either had no artwork or had a little vinyl records. They would cut off the corner. CDs, they would put a little notch into the jewel case to designate like for promotion. So that's what those things were. Of course, the internet sort of changed the music business as it changed so many industries that we hold near and dear to our hearts. So, if putting things in the mail, that's just not as efficient. Sending out a bunch of emails, very efficient. Way more affordable. You don't have to budget a small fortune in postage fees and paper fees. You don't have to kick the copy machine and fight it. I actually worked in the room with the postal machine that put postage. It weighed out everything and it slid it through and it put postage. And then, of course, everyone would be like, why isn't this machine working? And I would say, I'm not the keeper of the machine. I just share a room with it. I felt a little bit like in Mad Men, when Elizabeth Moss's character Peggy has to share an office with the copier. That was my life. I'm actually glad it was the postage machine and not the copier, because the copier was a bigger pain in the ass, but I digress. You should drink every time I digress. You'll die by the end of the video, I'm sure. All right, so the idea of a press kit is basically to have just like one little cohesive portal into you as a musician, as your band. So it's everything that someone should need to write about your band. But you should think a little bit bigger than just press, because like press is not the only like group of individuals who can use press kits or will want to see them. You might send them to venues. You might send them to promoters if you're looking to get shows. You might send them to music supervisors for TV shows and movies and commercials and things like that. It is a major, let's call that business to business kind of idea instead of business to consumer. So I don't know if you know how to sell things, if you're into marketing. Business to consumer means you're selling to just people, enthusiasts. Guitar pedals are largely business to consumer. Guitars are largely business to consumer. There's another side of marketing called business to business, which is like you're trying to sell this thing that other businesses use to help them sell to consumers. It's just kind of a different way of marketing. But both can be important. Like obviously Fender sells guitars, or places them with dealers, that's a business to business thing. But when they're trying to sell you a guitar direct, it's business to consumer. So while you're trying to sell your music or get yourself out there to potential fans, you also very much need to appeal to tastemakers. And that can be, again, radio station DJs. Well, more likely station managers, that's something else to talk about. Journalists, editors, bookers at venues, the music supervisors who do sync licenses for movies and commercials. So, all these people can use kind of the same things. So why not just batch them together? Obviously change the messaging as you send it out. But let's get to what an actual EPK is. An EPK is a collection of everything that would be in a press kit, but on the internet. So this used to live on websites a little bit more than it does. Most bands have a website. These websites usually have a biography, a link to music, maybe a couple photos. But a press kit, one of the big reasons a press kit shouldn't just live in its entirety on your website is because you want to have a link for those people who are getting this press kit to listen to your music. It used to be used in them a CD or a record or a tape, depending on the era. Now it's all digital. So you gotta have the music on there. And if it's just on your website, if people can just find it, then people can just listen to your music for free. You don't want that. So you want to use another tool to create your EPK, or you want to put it on an unlisted page on your website. So my band Sunday Crush, we have a publicist, and our publicist made our EPK for us, and they hosted that on their website. But I wrote an article for ConvertKit, which I'll link to in the video description, that'll show you exactly how I use their free landing page builder to mock up a press kit for Sunday Crush, my band. So that's something you could check out if you want to see some actual examples, you want to see some real world workings of a press kit. That's a great place to start. But let's get into what your press kit should contain, because that's kind of the most important part. You have to get everything together before you can send it out. First things first, you want a long form biography. This biography should be about a page. If it's on a single sheet of paper, it probably shouldn't be longer than that. No one's gonna read it. But it should tell the story of you as a performer, you as a band, and it should really lock them in that first paragraph. So for Sunday Crush, the first paragraph is kind of explaining our sound, our vibe, who we are, why someone's getting this press kit, because we released a record called A Real Sensation on Donut Sounds, that kind of stuff. Whatever they said about us. I don't have it in front of me, but it was lovely. We can talk about the individual band members. Ours does. Talk about the recording process a little bit. Talk about the writing process a little bit. Probably focusing on, the front person or the primary songwriter. In Sunday Crush's case, that's Jenna. And then it talks about the rest of us, Isaac, Dan, and myself. It's really nice, and it kind of highlights the things that might set our band apart from other bands. For example, that the album Real Sensation I did not record on personally because I hadn't joined the band yet, was recorded at a studio in Anacortes. Name whoever the other very well-known musicians who have recorded that studio, Angel Olsen, for example. The album was recorded by all women or non-binary individuals. And, just talk about that process, just anything that might be a differentiator for your band. Probably try to focus on that, just because it can make a difference. If you're trying to, if you are an LGBT band, or there are LGBT members in your band, you might appeal to those LGBT focused publications because that's who they tend to highlight. If you're a woman who plays guitar, if you have a female guitarist or non-binary guitarist, maybe publications like She Shreds or Guitar Girl will be interested in covering you. So that's just something to consider and think about. It's also very hard to think about that because often people, you're too close to it. So there are lots of people who you can pay to write a band biography. I honestly really recommend doing this, just because someone who's more experienced, who can ask smart questions, who isn't too close to it, can do a good job. So that's something that I recommend. One of the next things your EPK should contain is a fact sheet. A fact sheet takes a lot of the stuff from your bio and just kind of boils it down to some essential stuff, like where you're from, where you're based, who are your influences. Let's see some other things. Of course, the band name, the members, the genre, any key points of interest. Like I already said, influences, performance style, notable facts, like have you toured with somebody impressive? Anything else that's impressive? Was your music featured in an episode of CSI Miami, like Anne Slakowski? That's really impressive. I envy her that. Your record label, contact information. Contact information can be for a manager, for your publicist, for your agent, for your label, or just for you. It sort of depends on your level. Like if you don't have a manager, you don't make up a fake manager. Don't make up a fake publicist. Just be real. So that's the fact sheet. Next, you should have official links because journalists don't want to have to like dig up that stuff, and you want them to link to it. So if you don't include those links, if they don't feel like looking it up, then you're not going to get a link back to your website, and that sucks. Next, promotional photos. You should work with a photographer to get some high quality promotional photos. Please, Lord, no more photos of bands on railroad tracks or up against a brick wall. But yeah, you should have a collection of photos that are available at like maybe at least 2 different kind of looks. So that's outfit, location, different outfits, different locations, to keep things interesting. And then maybe every couple weeks, couple months, swapping out those photos for new photos, because you're going to get really tired of seeing the same pictures used over and over. Trust me, so many times I just keep looking at that picture of Sunday Crush from when we filmed the video for our song Sensation, which was a really fun day. And that picture gets used a lot. It's a great picture. It gets used a lot. And every time I look at the drummer's feet, because he's still wearing his Green Man costume underneath his clothes, and it makes me laugh. It really makes me laugh. Next, you should have album streaming and download links. So we used SoundCloud. A lot of people use SoundCloud for the streaming. You also want to give people the opportunity to download it so they can take it on the go with them. Cleaning the house, somebody listen to some Sunday Crush, sounds really fun. I'm into it. You should also include instrumental versions of your songs in case somebody wants to play a clip of a song, but they don't want the lyrics to occur. Like commercials, other synchronizations, even using a podcast underneath someone talking about the music. An instrumental version means they can talk over the music directly without competing with vocals. And so some people might want that. So you might as well do it. You should have it regardless. You should be asking your mixing and mastering engineer to give you an instrumental version of every song on the record. Cool? Cool. Next, if there are upcoming tour dates, include those, including who you're touring with. This is important if you are reaching out to publications in local cities. So if you're touring in the Southeast and you hit Nashville, you probably want to hit up the Nashville scene. You want to hit up any other local publications that are hot there. And them seeing that there's a Nashville date can help those folk be more timely in their coverage. So maybe you probably want them to talk about your show like when it gets announced and a couple days before. So those are pretty common time frames to want someone local to cover your show. Otherwise, Nashville scene, if you're a band in Seattle and you are reaching out to the Nashville scene, you're not playing a show in Nashville, they're going to be like, but why? Unless you're very famous. So if you're like our size, someone will probably say, but why? And then someone else can respond, their guitarist ran a website called Nashville for free and lived here for 8 years. But they're like, yeah, but she hasn't lived here since 2015. Drink, I digressed. Lyrics. Unless you want to get your lyrics misquoted, include lyrics. Liner notes, so who played on the record, who mixed it, who mastered it, where was it recorded, does anybody appear courtesy of another record label, important stuff. And the album artwork, high res, album front and back images, if there's middle stuff, liner notes, that kind of stuff too, include it. It's probably just going to be the front of the record, the actual artwork that gets featured. But if you have the other stuff handy, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to add it. It's just all going to a Dropbox probably anyway. Your best existing press coverage. Don't include everything. Just include everything impressive. Ann Power from NPR covered Sunday Crush for the All Songs Considered podcast when the album came out, which was a huge deal to us and a huge deal in general. You can bet your ass we're going to include that quote in every single piece of press coverage until the end of time. You can put it on my tombstone. That's another thing you can put on my gravestone. I'm running out of space on my gravestone. Just because of these videos. But it's just like, that's the kind of thing, Anne is a very well-respected journalist. So when other journalists see someone like one of their heroes writes about something, that's going to give them a little bit more interest. So that can help you out. It's a good thing to have. It's not just good for other journalists. It can be an indicator for booking agents that your band has some hype, that kind of thing. It gives you credibility. So if you have something impressive, or it's just a great quote, if it's just a really great quote, even if it's not like the biggest get in the world, it's nice to have. It's just a really nice thing to have. And then finally, videos. Include an embed of your music video, your current single probably, and then a link to maybe a playlist of your other videos. That's great for press, for live booking stuff. Maybe include some links to live videos if you have any. That's a pretty big one for, especially if you're like applying for festivals. They want to see that you can perform your music, like that you're not just like in the studio, you can do it, All right. So the next thing I talked about in this article was how much does an EPK cost? It costs a couple $100 if you have someone else make it for you. You can make it for free. You can use like a free landing page builder like ConvertKit has. You can host it on your existing website, so it's not really an added cost. Just maybe password protect the page if you're concerned about it potentially showing up in search results, because unless you know how to hide a page from search results and make it not appear in your site navigation, because you don't want people to be able to have access to your music streaming or download it for free. I forgot one thing you should include in your EPK. I'm sorry. You should include a contact form that serves as a request for physical copies of your record. There are a lot of journalists who want either a CD, a cassette, or a vinyl record before they review your music. So you want to have an easy way for people to request that. So ask for their name, ask for their publication, address, and their preferred format so you can get those out to the people who are showing significant interest in your band. Smart things. So your EPK, what do you do with it? You send it out. You send it out to journalists, podcasters, DJs, radio station managers, booking agents, anyone that you really want to promote your music to, who's kind of an influencer level like that. That's basically what you do. It's not something that you're gonna probably run ads behind. Though I'm sure people have done that. I mean, their Facebook targeting is impressive. If you want to do a Facebook ad to people who have a job at like one of 100 people who work at like a big company, or and are like Facebook admins, I think that used to be something you could target. That's something that I experimented with a little bit, but not for EPKs. It does okay. But really just, send personalized emails off to folk if you think it's a good match. Building a press list is really tricky. There is the urge to just email anybody and everybody. Shotgun approach, it's bad. It's bad. Like, think about cold calling or those cold emails you get and how seldom you open them. Just try to think of something that's like a differentiator that might get attention in an email subject line. Be polite in your follow-ups. Understand that the people you are emailing get hundreds of emails a day, many of them. So getting through, it's tough. It's tough, and that's why Sunday Crush is working with a publicist, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of research. It's something that if you can get a publicist who's reputable, who kind of fits in your genre, who already has those relationships, that's a great thing to have. Otherwise, it is going to be hard. But again, be polite. Don't feel like you're owed anything from any journalist, booker, promoter, literally anybody. Nobody owes you anything, probably. Just be polite. But having a good EPK that works, looks nice, it can make a difference. It can just push you over that hump and hopefully get you what you want. Well, that's all I have to say about EPKs. For more information, including how I built one with ConvertKit, this is not a sponsored video, by the way. I already wrote this article like a long time ago. Check it out. The link is in the video description. I walk you through the process of building one on ConvertKit specifically. More information there about everything I said here, including a nice little printout list of all the things you should include in your EPK. I think they did a really good job building that out. But yeah, please like, comment, subscribe below. Check us out on patreon.com/getoffset. The $5 level of our Patreon, you get access to our super secret Discord server where you can talk to me and Andrew and a bunch of our other Patreons. It's actually a really cool place with a lot of fun conversations that happen daily. Not too overwhelming. You can also get merch at getoffsetpodcast.com/shop. All right, that's all I got. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for understanding. Until next time, my name is Emily. Goodbye.